Bienvenidos. Hola. Hello. Welcome, everyone. We're now here at day 2 of FAFSA Week Live with yours truly, the College Prep Boss, your favorite college for free coach. And we are going to talk about completing the FAFSA. So today's focus is on completing the FAFSA and discussing some of the recent changes. So I want to give everybody a chance to get situated, get settled. Yesterday we had an exhilarating time. Exhilarating time learning how to prepare for the FAFSA. So I hope you took copious notes and you're ready to take more notes tonight. So make sure you have something to write on and something to write with so that you can take notes and capture the information. Again, sharing is caring. So we want you to make sure you share this out. This is definitely targeted at parents of current high school seniors, because this is who is really applicable to at this moment. But yesterday we had, there were some lessons parents of juniors as well as other underclassmen were able to glean from the session so that they could be better prepared this time next year. So go ahead, tag a parent of a senior, tag someone you are a junior or any other grade level in high school you feel this would be beneficial to them, and encourage them to join. And then, as always, share it to your network. Share it to your network, help them to get in the loop as well. Because the bottom line is this, like as described yesterday with the FAFSA, no FAFSA, I just keep it simple. I'm a straight shooter. No FAFSA, no money. No FAFSA, no ching ching. No moolah. No making it rain. None of that. Because students must have the FAFSA on file in order to be considered for aid, any type of aid at that school. And yesterday we talked about the different types of aid: federal aid, institutional aid. So there are different types of aid that exist, but the FAFSA must be in place in order for your baby to get access to those dollars. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, yesterday we talked about preparing for the FAFSA. So today we're going to talk about completing the FAFSA. Before we do that, we are going to talk about some of the recent changes. FAFSA has been evolving over the years, which is a good thing because it definitely needed to be tweaked. And so it's a lot simpler now. I know some families probably like, I don't think so, but it is. Compared to what it used to be, it's less complicated and it's a lot more straightforward. So let's start with the changes. Some of the recent changes that has taken place so far, and more changes are coming down the pike. So parents of juniors, you got to stay tuned because there are things that's changing for next year as well as for the those who follow. All right, so let's just start with FAFSA changes, okay? So first off, one of the changes that's they made about the process is this: eligibility for federal aid is no longer tied to on the application. Male students used to have to select that they register for selective services, and if they didn't select that, their application would pretty much kick the application out. So that is one of the major changes. Eligibility for federal aid is no longer tied to male students selecting whether or not they register for selective services, as well as them checking an affirmative, i.e. yes, to the question related to drug convictions. Okay, so that's a major change in the process. Another change that's in place for this year's FAFSA cycle is that students who wish to add a college no longer have to select update list of colleges. Okay, so they used to have to select update list of colleges, and it just took them through a litany of additional steps where it's a lot more straightforward now. You know, we talked about updating colleges yesterday because, you know, remember there's a cap of 10 colleges. And so you will enter or provide those additional schools by updating your college list after you get your SAR. Okay. Now, another update is when logging in, they now have it delineated based on role. So you would have to select, are you a parent? Are you a student or a preparer? So that makes it easier because it pretty much, there's some, okay, that's too much technical information, but basically the set of questions will be crafted based on what your selection is. Okay. So that's another change. Another piece is users will pretty much receive additional information and prompts to help them understand which parent or parents' information should be reported based on marital status questions. So that's easy. I mean, that helps to make that process a lot easier. So, you know, if you were confused about something, there are little notes. I actually just went through a training, and, you know, under the questions, you'll see notes. This is for this. This is for that. So it's there to help provide clarity as you're going through the process. Now, again, going back to yesterday's training, if there's something you don't understand, please do not guess. You want to get some help. And there are many places you can go to do that. You have organizations providing assistance. You have the 800 number itself to the Department of Ed, the Federal Student Aid Office. They are there. Your tax dollars pay for them to be there to provide you service, and it is free. So take advantage of that. Okay. Do not select anything. Having the wrong information can cost you tens of thousands of dollars, if not more than that. All right. Now, due to the pandemic and loss of income, you know, many people have claimed unemployment, unfortunately, on their 2020 federal tax form. So the taxable unemployment must be recorded on the Schedule 1 form. So if this is you, know that income, the taxable unemployment income, must be captured on the Schedule 1 form. Okay. If you forget that and you lose your notes, the dog ate your notes or whatever happens, you can always go to the financial aid website, and they have a great it's a downloadable PDF booklet that kind of walks you through the process as well. So that's a great tool to have if in case you got some questions or you get mixed up on something. Okay. All right, so those are some of the recent changes. Now, you know what, no, I'll cover that last. Let's go ahead and just jump into completing the FAFSA. So when you complete the FAFSA, yesterday we talked about the first part of this, the FSA ID. So you should have your FSA ID all ready. So when you're getting ready to complete the FAFSA, and getting ready to log in, we talked about preparing, being organized, having everything available at our fingertips when we start this process. So again, you want to make sure you have social security number, driver license number, all your financial documents, your taxes, all the other income from investment property, real estate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure you have all that information ready. Okay. And then, because if you do, it helps that process go that much smoother, and you'll get through the application process a little faster. Okay. Now, one thing you want to make sure, I want to share with you to make sure you are informed about is the save key, because we talked about writing your information down, putting it in a secure place so you could always go back to it because you don't want to have to go through the forget password process. Well, the save key is something you will create at the beginning of the FAFSA. So this is basically a tool that allows you to access the FAFSA while you're working to finish it. And if you happen to have, I mean, because we're all working at home, and I know we've all had connection issues at some point in time. If you have connection issues or some reason the site disappears, I mean, your page disappears and you need to log back in, your save key allows you to access your FAFSA from different locations. It helps you to save your information and not have to start over. So you're going to create a save key at the beginning of the FAFSA, and then you're going to write it down and store it with the rest of your credentials and information so you can easily access it. Okay. So the great news is that students and parents can use the save key again to help access the FAFSA from any location. All right. So if you never completed the FAFSA before, this is your first time. So parents, if you don't have any other kids in college or haven't had any other kids in college for a while, you're going to complete, a new application. If you're doing this for your second, third, fourth, however many child, your baby, but you already had a baby in college now or have already completed college, you will then renew your past FAFSA, okay? So you're going to log in using your same credentials. Hopefully you kept your information. If not, you're going to have to go through the forget password process. So basically, if you already had kids going through this process, you don't have to recreate the information over again. I just hope you got your login and password. If not, hey, the beauty of forget password. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to log in and you're going to prepare to submit the information. So you're going to FAFSA.gov to apply online. You'll select the FAFSA form in the menu bar, or you'll see it on the dashboard. Select your role. Click on Start a New FAFSA Form button if you are a new person. If not, you're going to renew it. You're going to fill out the form and go through the prompts. Now, remember we talked about the app yesterday. They do have an app, My Student Aid app. You can download that. It's available on both Android and Apple phones. So you'll go to the App Store, to the Google Play Store, and you will download My Student Aid mobile app. That's up to you. Parents, you may do it on a computer. The kids may do it on the app. That's fine. Either way, you're still going to need the same level of information in order to do that. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to complete the 2021 to 2022 or the 2022-2023 FAFSA. So again, we talked about that yesterday. So make sure you select the right one, because you don't want to put in all that work and you submitted the wrong application. That is not going to be fun. You're going to be frustrated beyond measure, and that's not cool. That's not going to be cool. So make sure you select the right year, okay? And last but not least, I did mention this yesterday. You can complete an actual hand paper copy by downloading the PDF, printing it, and then completing it and mailing it in. Or you can request a printout by calling the 1-800-4FED-AID phone number. Now, again, some people may choose to do that, but I think the best way to do this is do it electronically. So use the website. Many people say the app is easier. I just, for something like this, I'm like, just give me a computer, because I want to be able to see everything on big screen, make sure I'm not missing nothing. because errors cost money. I want y'all to repeat that. Errors cost money. Yes, errors and mistakes cost money. You don't want to make errors and mistakes. So you want to make sure you got your good glasses on, your good contacts on. You're not half asleep when you're filling this out. Because again, remember, it's a government document and you want to make sure everything you submit is accurate. Because when you sign off in the end, you're basically saying, I'm verifying everything that's in this application. Okay. So we never want to fill out a government document and have falsified information on there. I'm just saying. All right. So let's just talk about some tips. So again, whether you're using the app or the computer, you still need the same level of information and the tips still apply. So first, we've already talked about the save key. Again, don't forget about that piece. If you're applying for the summer session, just remind you that is when you will use the 2021-2022 application. If you are starting school next fall, then you'll use the 2022-2023 application. All these years start running together. All right. So just, again, make sure you're selecting the right year. Let's see. All right. No questions. All right. So I'm going to keep going. Parents, remember, you're going to log in and do your part. Students, you're going to log in and do your part. Can you do them at the same time? Yes, that may be a good thing. You can make it a family affair. But make sure, again, you're providing the right type of information. Parents, don't leave your students to fill this out by themselves, because if they have questions, you may be able to answer it, because it could just be something very simple around access to information. So if at all possible, try to do it with your baby and not have them do it by themselves. Okay. All right. So here's a note I want you all to take away as well. So because I know this applies to many families, it has applied to many families, and I want to make sure you are aware of what to do in this situation. So if you or your family's financial situation has changed significantly from what is reflected on your federal income tax return for 2020, because remember, incoming freshmen right now to college, you're going to need the 2020 taxes. So if life has changed significantly, for example, you've lost your job, you've experienced a major drop in income, a major illness, anything that has impacted the family in any shape, form, or fashion, from a loss of a parent, any of those type of situations, you may be eligible to have your financial aid adjusted. Okay. So you're going to complete the questions as instructed on the application. Hear me. I want y'all to please hear me with this. Complete the application as instructed on, complete the FAFSA questions as instructed on the application. That includes the transference of your tax information using the Irs Transfer mechanism. Submit your FAFSA form. So basically you're going to go through the process as is. Then you are going to contact the school you plan to attend to discuss their appeal process and explain to them how your current financial situation has changed, so that you can find out what their appeal process is. I'm just really getting tied up. Every school's appeal process is different. Some schools will have it already on their website, and they'll have the file for you to download with instructions, what they need, and all you have to do is complete it and submit it. Other schools may not have it on their website. You have to contact them to find out what the process is and get the forms that's needed in order to make that happen. But at the end of the day, hear me and understand this. If life has changed dramatically from what is on your 2020 taxes. Hear me, your 2020 taxes. Make sure you go through the process and then contact the school's financial aid office you are planning to attend and find out what their appeal process, and explain to them what caused the significant change: loss of job, loss of a spouse or parent, a decrease in the job. You maybe were decreased, your hours were decreased dramatically. They took you from full-time to part-time. Whatever that case is, you want to explain that. All right. So I hope everybody got that, because many people don't know this and don't realize you can appeal your financial aid packages, and you need to appeal your financial aid packages. So if your baby was already in college and you're now renewing their FAFSA, make sure you find out what the appeal process is if this has happened to you. You can appeal your financial aid process, and you want to do it as soon as possible. All right. Remember, I talked about early bird gets the worm yesterday. So make sure you do that, because that can make all the difference in the amount of money your baby gets. Okay. All right. So another major change you want to look at is change of marital status. Hey, let's keep it real. COVID has brought people together, brought people closer together, and it also has caused people to go to opposite directions. It is what it is. But right now, we're focusing on doing what's best for your baby. So if you, because young folks could be married, if you have a change of marital status, or your parents have a change of marital status since your taxes were filed, your 2020 taxes, here are some tips that you can utilize to help navigate the financial aid process during this cycle. So first, the FAFSA form, it does ask for marital status. So as of today, the day it is filled out, you want to select what your marital status is. So if you student or a parent is married now, but you were not married in 2019, and therefore you didn't file taxes as married, the spouse's 2019 income will need to be added to the FAFSA. So hear me. If you are married now and you were not married, you will need to add the spouse's 2019 income to the taxes. Okay. Now, similarly, if your taxes says you were married and you're no longer married, when you're filling out the FAFSA, the spouse's income will need to be subtracted. So you're either going to add or you're going to subtract. You're going to add or you're going to subtract, or you're going to do nothing, because it just may be the same. But I want to make sure you understand that you want to make these changes, because again, not making these changes can delay the process, and it can impact the amount of money your scholar is eligible for. All right. All right. So if the student or the parent, got to give you some different scenarios here. If you were married when you filed those taxes back in 2019, 2020, then you got a divorce, but you have now remarried, but you remarried you married somebody else. You're going to have to do some math. Okay. So you're going to have to put on the accountant hat, pull out that calculator, and get busy. You are going to have to subtract the ex's income, then add in the new spouse's income. I know you like, God dang it, Coach T, that's a lot of stuff. Hey, it's part of the process. It's required. You got to do it. So that's why I'm covering it. So you could go ahead and get prepared, because this is stuff you can start doing now, so that when Friday comes, October 1st, and the application opens and you're ready to start completing your application, you would have already done these calculations because you already know to expect you're going to have to make these adjustments because your marital status changed from 2 years ago to now. All right. If you need more details about that, just go to the FAFSA website, and there are some helpful guides and some FAQs associated with this particular topic. And of course, as always, use the 800 number. All right, use the 800 number. All right, so let's talk about the IRS transfer, or what they call the IRS DRT tool. So this is the tool that they use, to the data retrieval tool, to retrieve your information from IRS into the FAFSA. So it automatically transfers tax information to the FAFSA form. Now, you want to make sure you consider this option if it is offered to you. I strongly recommend you use the IRS data retrieval tool. Typically what has happened in the past, when that was not used, it delayed the process, and a lot of families, if not all, were audited. So I'm not saying that if you do it, you won't get audited, because you just don't know. It's going to be based on your information, if there's inconsistencies, red flags, and all those types of things. But this can lessen your risk of being audited. All right. And the risk of you having incorrect information. So I strongly recommend you using the IRS transfer tool. All right. So make sure you do that. So that's another tip. So the steps are not bad, because you just pretty much following the prompts, and it's pretty simple, basic information. But here are the things you got to make sure you understand, because there are ramifications behind them. So signing and submitting your FAFSA form, please hear me on this particular section, because you're going to have to sign and submit the application. If that is not done, then your application basically doesn't exist. It's not going to be reviewed. It's not going to be considered. It's going to be considered unfinished. So you want to make sure after all this work is put in, you sign and submit it. So when you sign it, you're going to sign with your FSA ID. So this is the ID we talked about yesterday. And I gave it to you as a homework assignment and said, go ahead and get it, because remember, it takes up to 3 days to get certified, or for it to get validated. So you don't want to take that chance. Some may get theirs back in less than 24 hours. Some may have to wait the full 36 hours. You want to give yourself time so you're ready to launch on Friday when the application goes live. All right, so be sure to sign with your FSA ID, your username and password, so your FAFSA form will be processed as quickly as possible. Now, if you log into the form by providing your FSA ID, you won't be asked for it again when it's time to sign. However, if you're providing parent information, one of the parents will be required to sign the application for the student. So again, this is why I recommend you all do it together. All right. So you're going to sign with it. You got to make sure your application, it is signed. Once you sign, you'll see a confirmation page. That is your indicator to say you have successfully submitted your FAFSA form. Yay! That is what you're looking for. That is what you want. If you don't see that, in Houston, we got problems. So you got to find out why that didn't happen. That means you missed something, you didn't check off something, you didn't sign something correctly. So that is your indicator. You will get a page that basically says you've successfully completed or submitted your FAFSA form. All right. Along with that, if you provided your email address on the form, you're going to automatically receive that confirmation page via email as well. So you'll see it on the screen. You'll get it via email. Now, there are a few differences between the email confirmations. And the one you'll see in the FAFSA form before exiting the application is going to be different from what you receive via email. So we highly recommend the confirmation page you get on the screen, print it or take a screenshot of it and save it to your files before you exit. So don't get too hasty and excited, we done, and go and close the window. No, save that file, that page, because there's information on there that's not going to be in the confirmation sent via email. For example, the email confirmation won't include college graduation, retention, and transfer rates for the schools you listed in the FAFSA. So again, you want to save that information so you can access it and refer back to it later. All right. So that's dealing with the confirmation page. Now, also understand we talked about states and some of their requirements, and they have them having their own separate requirements. And we encourage you to check your own state requirements as it relates to the FAFSA. So there are some states who have a partnership with the Department of Ed office, even with there are some states who have a partnership with the Department of Ed office. And so basically what they do is they'll transfer your FAFSA information directly to your state aid form, because there are states who have their own pots of money and they use the FAFSA. We talked about this yesterday to help determine who gets, what in terms of those funds. So for example, if you live in the New York area, I miss New York City. I can't wait to when I can go travel there again. Oh, during COVID, but okay, I digress. But if you live in the New York area, so New York residents can use that interface. There's an interface link that they can use that takes them directly to the application for the tuition assistance program the state of New York offers. So basically, when you fill out the FAFSA form, you'll have an option to apply to certain state financial aid forms. You want to do it at that moment, okay? So if you see that link from your FAFSA confirmation page to your state financial aid form, you should select it, all right? So don't ignore it. Select it. The link will appear only on that confirmation page with the FAFSA form. So take advantage of it, because that also can impact the amount of money you get in the totality of your financial aid package. All right. So we're not leaving money on the table. All right. You heard? We just not. So you don't want to close the door on any potential opportunity. So make sure you're clicking on the links, you're reading the emails, you're tracking your emails, you're monitoring your emails, and you're monitoring deadlines, because deadlines, when they occur, hey, that's what a deadline is for. When it's over, it's over. So you don't want to miss deadlines. You want to make sure whatever the requested information is, you get it in time. This is especially true for our young babies. I've known students to miss out on scholarship opportunities because they miss deadlines due to them not checking their emails on a regular basis. So parents and students, you must check your emails on a regular basis. Parents, you may want to remind your students and do a check-in point to see if they did. All right. So the confirmation page will also offer options for the parent information in your FAFSA form to be transferred automatically into another student's application. So I have some clients who have multiple kids or who will have multiple kids in college at the same time. So this will be a great way for them to transfer the information to another student's application so they get to take care of both of their babies at the same time. So make sure you don't miss that option if that is you. So that's how we save time. That link will appear only on the confirmation page within the FAFSA form, and that's where you'll take advantage of it. All right. Now, if you're doing this in the app, the parent will see this option only if they sign and submit after you. So there's a timing factor around signing and submitting the FAFSA. So if the student is using an app, the parent is using a computer, and the parent, you have 2 kids in college at the same time, you want to make sure the student sign and submit after you. So they cannot sign and submit before you. You need to sign and submit first, and then they will sign and submit after you so that you'll be able to have your information transferred to both kids. All right. Which makes perfect sense because they can't sign it if it's incomplete. I'm just saying. All right. Now, last but not least, in terms of just how to approach this and how to get ready on the day of applying for completing the application, make sure you read every question. Read every question and reread it again, are the instructions, to make sure you understand them clearly and not make a mistake. What did I say earlier about mistakes? Mistakes cost us money. We're not leaving money on the table. So read the questions, make sure you're clear about it. If you're not clear, you're going to seek out help before responding to it. So you'll save the application and come back to it later. All right. Make sure you're monitoring all deadlines, because missed deadlines leads to missed opportunities, missed money. Again, check your emails, check your spam, because you may have emails going into your regular inbox and to spam at the same time from the same sender. I know it happens to me. So make sure you're checking both, because you don't want to take that chance. So check your email, including spam, be consistent with it, and do it constantly. All right. And I can't stress this enough. Contact the 800 number and or school financial aid department if you have any questions. If something is unclear, reach out and touch somebody's hand. So reach out and touch somebody's virtual hand and get help, because mistakes cost money and opportunities. Don't take that chance, families. Don't take that chance. All right. So this is what you need to do when it gets down to applying for your, well, I keep saying applying, completing the FAFSA application. I think that's a better term. I'm so used to saying applying for scholarships or something like that, or applying for colleges. Completing the FAFSA application. All right. So go ahead, get busy. If you haven't completed your information from homework from yesterday, listen to the replay, get that homework done. Time is of the essence. Take this information, add to what your to-do items are, and check off what's done, because our goal is to be ready to start submitting our FAFSA as early as this coming Friday. All right, that's in a few days, but you have to do this pre-work in order to be ready. Because remember, the time to be ready is not the time to get ready. Now, before I let you go, before I let go, before I let you go. All right, y'all know Coach T is a little giddy and crazy at times. I just want to just place some emphasis on a couple of things. You know, again, mistakes costs it costs money, and it costs opportunity. So you just want to make sure you're paying close attention to what you're doing and how you're doing. Make sure you're entering information correctly, like the social security number. Make sure it's entered correctly. We talked about this yesterday, making sure your social security number and your name as stated on the social security number is how you enter it into the FAFSA. So that is making sure there's no disconnect, because if it is, you're going to have some issues. I know we have a lot of babies who do dual enrollment. Please understand this. If your student is in dual enrollment or has completed dual enrollment, they are still first year students. So you're going to select first year, never attended under college grade level. All right. First year, never attended under college grade level. This makes a world of difference. I was just having this conversation with one of my parents earlier, the difference in the benefit of dual enrollment before a child graduates from high school versus a child who graduates and then goes to a community college or go somewhere and take college credits, college classes, and then transfer in. Two different classifications, and it also changes the money as well. So earning a bachelor's degree, if they've been admitted to a four-year university, you just want to be mindful of that. Because if you already have a degree, you're basically going to be transferring in. So you want to make sure you select the right designation. All right. And we already talked about the change around the males with their with them selecting yes under selective services. Also, a couple of things. I think I hit on many of these yesterday. There's a lot of fallacies out there and myths. So parents, again, get away from I make too much money, and get away from I don't want the government in my business. Please help me. Let me help you understand this. One, they already know your business. They just checking to see if you're going to operate in integrity when you submit your information. So scratch that. Making too much money. You can make, there's no such thing as making too much money in order to qualify for financial aid, because there's different types of aid your baby can qualify for, and the FAFSA is required. It is necessary. It is part of the process in order for them to be considered. So I don't care how much money you make. If you make $500,000, you still need to complete the FAFSA. If you make $30,000, you need to complete the FAFSA. So get it completed. All right. I've heard parents say, or parents think, oh, this is going to impact my credit. No, it's not. Completing the FAFSA has no bearing on your credit. You're not going to get a credit hit of any kind. The only time credit comes into play as it relates to the financial aid process is if you are opting to be considered for a Parent Plus loan. That is the only time, that's the time where the credit's going to come into play. But for regular financial aid eligibility, has nothing to do with credit. So if somebody told you it does, they told a story, and that's not true. So parents, everybody needs to apply. Everybody needs to complete the FAFSA. Remember, no FAFSA, no money. No FAFSA, no money. No FAFSA, no money. All right. We talked about independent status for students. I get this all the time from parents. I remember every time I used to do my workshop, and they used to always say, ask the question, well, can my baby be, can I say they live on their own, or can they live on their own? You can, but it's not going to make them an independent student. There's a very defined list of what qualifies a student as an independent student. So a student moving out of their parents' home does not make them an independent student. Okay. student, again, I talked about this yesterday, and I also told you where to go on the financial aid website to get more information around the definition around an independent student. But basically, legally homeless, ward of the state, foster care, they're married, they're a parent. It's a very specific and distinct list. And if your student, your baby, can't check any of those boxes, they will be considered a dependent student, and parents, you will need to submit your information. So just go ahead and get ready. You cannot use your grandma, your grandparents, granddaddy, whatever you call them, Medea, you cannot use their information as income because they retired unless they are your legal guardian. They closed that loophole a long time ago. So even if you live with them, if you have not taken the legal steps to take guardianship and legally make them yours, you're not going to be able to use their income. Okay. All right. So another myth, a parent remarried, so they don't have to use their stepdad's financial information. We already talked about that earlier, who financial information needs to be utilized. So just make sure you don't make these mistakes. You are aware of these common mistakes and these common myths, because they are myths. They are not true. Make sure you don't fall into those traps. All right. Now, if I have any DACA students listening, so as a DACA student, can you file the FAFSA? Yes, you can. Now, you're not going to be eligible to receive federal aid, but you could be eligible to receive institutional or state aid, or a combination of the two. Remember, I talked about there's different types of aid the FAFSA is used for. So as a DACA student, you can't get federal dollars, but that doesn't mean you can't qualify for institutional dollars or state dollars. Okay. So make sure you reach out to the schools and find out what's available, what those options are, and what the process entails, because you may have to provide additional information, do some additional things. So if your parents do not have a social security number, you will respond to that question by entering all zeros. All right, so you'll enter all zeros in place of the social security number. All right, so you'll enter all zeros. Under citizenship status, as a DACA student, you're going to enter that you are a non-citizen. That's what you're going to do. And then in terms of state of legal residence, you're going to enter the state that you reside in, wherever your permanent address is. So those are just some tips for any DACA students who may be listening. So if you know of any DACA students, share this information with them, and hopefully this will help them. All right, so that's it for today's edition. Yesterday, we talked about how to prepare for the FAFSA. Today, we talked about completing the FAFSA, tips around completing the FAFSA, and recent changes. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about the CSS profile. Now, not so many people talk about this, but I need to make sure you understand what it is, the purpose of it, and the application associated with it as well, because it can be part of the process depending on the school your baby is applying to. All right. So I'm not going to go real deep into it. I'm just going to give you some of the basics around the CSS profile to make sure you understand it. I do all that deep stuff with my clients. I'm just going to give you enough information to equip you with the knowledge you'll need to make the right decisions. So until our next time together, Stay safe. Thank you for joining. Make sure you tag a parent of a high school senior, graduating senior. Tag a graduating senior who needs this information. A DACA student, anybody you think should have heard this, tag them, share it with them, share it with your network, because sharing is caring. We're on a mission to help more families complete the FAFSA, because again, no FAFSA, no money. So let's get busy. Let's get it done. Time is of the essence, and we want to do it early. So my challenge is to be ready come Friday when it opens, so that you can launch your application and get it done. And then we're going to ask you to submit your submit confirmation that says, hey, I completed my FAFSA. And what we're going to do is we're going to enter everyone who submitted their confirmation into a drawing for some prizes. So we're going to give some cash gift cards, and we're also going to have the grand prize is going to be a consultation, a free consultation with me in terms of how to strategize and maximize everything as it relates to your senior at this point in time. And that right there is worth some money, several thousands of dollars. So let's get the FAFSA completed. Let's stay safe. This is your favorite college for free coach, the college prep boss herself. Remember, the time to be ready is not the time to get ready. So I am trying to help you get ready so that you can stay ready and take advantage of every opportunity afforded to you in this process. Tomorrow, same time, same college prep station. We're taking it another step higher. Until then, hey everybody, see you later. Take care.